This is Summer Island, and you are Mousy, a candidate who is trying to defeat Crocky for the post of the president of Summer Island. Now, to do that, you're trying to gain reputation in each of the 12 districts of Summer Island. Now, when we check out the reputation grid here, you can see that Crocky, being the incumbent president, has a reputation across the island, whereas Mousy only has reputation in her bailiwick of the fishing village and the adjacent districts of the police station and the resort. So now we're going to try to move around our staff in order to get some reputation around Summer Island. Okay, so now we're going to go around the map and start campaigning. To do that, just click on one of your staff, and that'll open up this actions panel. Okay, and we can move, for example, this thug to the police station, and we can rally. Now, rallying is you're trying to convince the voters in a district that your platform is important to them. So, for example, right now in this district, the platform that's important to them is education and religion. And these are the levels at which that platform is important to them. So you're trying to raise these so that when you do an actual campaign, the amount of reputation that you gain is much higher. So for example, right now it's at 3. Let's budget 1,000 towards a rally. And as you can see, it went up to 4. Now what we can do is click on our security staff, move them up to the police district, rally again, and now the concern of the district towards education is 5, whereas it was once earlier was 3. So now we move our campaign to the police district and campaign towards education. Now notice that you can select between campaigning towards education or religion. And if you campaign towards education, since this matches your platform, the amount of reputation increase is much higher than if you campaign towards religion. So something to keep in mind for the future. So let's campaign towards education. And so we have a 1,525 reputation increase in the police district. Now finally, we spent quite a bit of money, so what we're going to do is we're going to have our agent raise some funds here. Now fundraising is the amount of funds that you can raise is connected to your reputation in this district and also your relationship with patrons in the district, which I'll show you later. But right now, this is the maximum amount that you can spend, that you can raise in this district. As you can see here, you can double check in the info grid. And you check under fundraising, you can raise 1,312 funds out of a total of 1,312. So there's no, this is the absolute maximum that you can raise funds in this district. So let's raise funds. And then we can end our turn. Okay, so you can see that Crocky and his staff have taken their turns. If you need to review what they did during their turn, you can just scroll over here to the notifications panels and just check out to what everyone did. Okay, so now I've actually moved my agent down to the resort because I want to take over or occupy the resort. And if we look at the campaign panel, you'll see that neither of the resort's concerns match the platform of Mousy. So the resort's concerns are religion and infrastructure, and those correspond to a 0 rating for Mousy's platform, which is health and education. So even if we spend a ton of money, there wouldn't be a lot of reputation gain. So what I'm going to do instead of campaigning is to just bribe the voters. Now the difference between bribing and campaigning is that you have an unlimited amount of money that you can spend. Well, unlimited depending on your budget, of course. And the reputation gain is much higher than if you just campaign. But the catch is when you do bribe, you'll create a scandal, which I'll explain, which I'll show you here. So let's go ahead and bribe. And so we just gained 3,000, like more than 3,000 reputation in the resort. So it's fully occupied. But now we have this blinking scandal token. Now the scandal, the scandal, once it's revealed, there's a chance every turn that it'll be revealed, and if it's revealed, it'll affect your reputation in this district as well as your relationship with the patrons in this district. That's commensurate. That effect is commensurate to the amount of scandals in the district. So right now it's just the one scandal. So there's also a very, very low chance that it'll actually be found out, which is why I took that risk. But the more scandals that are present in a district, the higher the chance it'll be revealed, and the larger the damage it'll do to your reputation and your relationship with the patrons in that district. Now you'll see that there's actually already a scandal here in the police district, and that's because the agent of Crocky fabricated a scandal. Now the fabricate scandal creates a scandal for your opponent, but at the same time creates a scandal for yourself. So there's a little bit of risk reward there. Since we're already doing scandalous actions, let's just keep going. I'm going to take my thug here, and each staff has a special action, and for the thug, the action is called threaten. And threaten, what it does is you target a staff, which is an enemy staff that's inside the same district, and by threatening them, they lose a turn next turn. So we'll go ahead and threaten the Crocky's agent. And now he's turned red and he's terrified, and he won't be able to make an action next turn. The security staff's special action is blockade. And you can see that Crocky is here, so maybe he might want to swoop in and do some damage in the police district. So let's blockade this district for 500. And now no staff can enter the police district for one turn. Or none of the opposing staff can enter the police district for one turn. Okay, so it looks like Mousy is going to have a scandal revealed in the police district next turn. So in order to mitigate that, I'm going to send a gift to one of the political patrons in the district. So each patron has a different resource that they have control over. So for example, this patron who I think is Katorsho, he has an effect on the amount of funds that you can raise in this district. So I'm going to go ahead and send him a gift of 1,000 funds, and then we'll see what happens. Okay, so you see that Katorsho now favors Mouse more than Crocky. That means when Mousy or any of her staff try to raise funds in the district, they will receive a bonus amount of money from that. And conversely, if Crocky or any of his staff try to raise funds in the police district, the amount of money that they would raise would be lower than than it would be normally. So that is the patrons. Okay, so luckily none of the scandals in the police district were revealed this turn. So let's move on, and I'll just explain command points now. Now you see this little icon here, this little star icon that represents command points. Now command points, you need to use those in order to move or have your staff do actions the further away they are from you. So for example, let's click on our agent here, and then we have a pop-up that says use 2 CP. So that means it requires 2 command points in order to unlock the agent in the resort. Now the way to calculate that is basically just how far away is the district from your candidate at the start of the turn. So for example, here the resort is 2 districts away. So the agent, if you want to unlock him, requires 2 CP. So let's do that now. And move the agent to the fishing village and raise some funds. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the with the candidates, each candidate, with the patrons, each patron controls a different resource. So there's actually a CP patron or a command point patron. And so the closer you are to this candidate, like in relationship, the less CP you'll need to move around in that district. So I'm going to go ahead and just pump this guy full of money. Okay. Do the same with the thug. Now you might have noticed that the success rate of the candidate is 75%, while the success rate of the staff is 50% when sending a gift to a patron. So that's just something to keep in mind. Okay, so we failed this turn. So let's try again with security. Okay, great. So now, well, we can't check it anymore at the moment, but in the police district, it should cost 2 CP less to move a staff in this district, and it'll cost 2 CP more for Crocky to move any staff in this district. So for example, the agent here is only 1 district away from Crocky. So normally it should only take 1 CP to move the agent, but because it's +2, because we have a better relationship with the CP patron in the police district, that means the CP cost of moving this agent is actually 3. Okay, so that's it for command points. So now that we have a toehold in the south of the island, it's time to think about moving north. Now to do that, we need to take a look at the main info grid and try to plot out what our best strategy is. So when you click here, it'll show you the list of districts, all right, and who's inside each district. It'll show you the voting population, your current reputation within that district, district bonuses that you can get if you occupy a district. Right now, obviously, we haven't actually sorted those out yet. That will be implemented sometime in the future. In this fundraising, as I mentioned earlier, this shows you how much money you can raise at a given point in a district, and the issues that are important in each district, and which candidate they match up to. So there are actually other information overlays right now that aren't working. So for example, this is to show you the status of your relationships with the patrons in each district. This is for your cash flow, your command points, and your staff. But right now, unfortunately, these aren't working yet, and they're still yet to be implemented. So now that we have some information, I'm going to go ahead and move forward, move northward, and I'll get back to you in a little bit. In addition to the main HUD here at the bottom, where you can access the main district info, you can also click on Mousie's avatar here to bring up the candidates' platforms. In case you need to be reminded that Mousie's platform is education and health, and what her staff is. This comes out at the beginning of the game, but you can always bring it up anytime and then just click anywhere to hide it again. So this build has events every 5 turns. The events are a way for the player to learn a little bit more about the world of party animals, and also at the same time hopefully give them interesting options to do some horse trading with their current resources. For example, here it's a patron's kitten's baptism, so you can exchange some money for to attend the baptism, and I guess the money's for a gift or something, in order to raise your relationship with that patron. In the future, we'll have a lot more variety in terms of events, and also we're hoping that they can be triggered by certain actions or situations in the game. For example, if you're losing money, it may trigger a patron to offer you some cash in exchange for supporting them in a certain issue. Right, so that's events. Okay, so now we're at the last day, and as soon as I click on the end turn button, the election results should start coming in. So let's do that now. Let's see, what are they doing? Oh, I'm just trying to get a little bit more reputation done there in the bank, and trying to gift the patrons in the rice terraces. So now, as each district goes to the polls, it goes into a little ballot box here, and it's tabulated. You might notice that some of the undecided voters decide on their votes during election day based on your relationship with the patrons. So towards the end game, you'll notice that the AI usually tries to befriend the patrons to get the undecided votes. Oh, wow. Well, that's a very close win. 31,000 to 29,908. So, yep, that's the end of the tutorial. Feel free to play as you like now.